While attending an educational meeting last summer, I knew some of my colleagues by remarking that each day I had to begin anew to build Dome Stewart. While there was some exaggeration in the statement, there was much truth. A school has a life which can neither be taken for granted nor neglected. It must be continually fostered, nourished, and strengthened, and this must be the responsibility of all who belong to its family. Last year, we worked hard together to begin a new school, and the Dome Stewart School is well begun. Now we must build on that foundation, and we must be the faculty, students, parents, alumni, friends of the school, as well as the boards of governors and administration. We are trying anew each day to build this school, to realize more and more of the dream we have for our students. Please dream with us, work with us in every way we can, and especially at this season, join us in thanking God for His blessing on our first year.
Please rise. So I just realized that I had a folder with some quotes and remarks to sort of lead me on my way in what I wanted to say today, and I brought down the wrong folder. I somehow think that maybe that's better. On my way out of my office, so I don't have those to which I can refer. But I think almost daily about the founding of this school, and as the last quote from Sister Brown that Forrest read, not just the founding of this school, but the refounding, and refounding again, on an almost daily basis, to affirm what's really important about this school. You know, Kenwood wasn't always at Kenwood. St. Agnes wasn't always at St. Agnes. And now here we are at a relatively new campus for us, a Dome Stewart that wasn't what we thought of as Dome Stewart. The physical space has changed at least a dozen times between the two founding schools and our school. Does it make it not Dome Stewart because it's not in the same parcel of land? On my way out of my office, I was looking at a picture that someone once gave me, an antique picture of Columbia University, from which I received my PhD in 1985. And I love Columbia's campus. I love every minute that I walked across that campus. It's a vital, thriving, gorgeous place. The only intentionally designed Ivy League school in America, where every building was intentionally built to make this perfect symmetry that speaks to students about the power of reason. The reality, though, is that the picture that I passed on my way out of my office is actually 50th Street and 5th Avenue. How many of you know where Columbia is? Columbia University. Where is it? Anybody? Go ahead. Was that Laura?
Yes. The west side.
The west side. Know the address? Broadway and 116th Street. Has very little to do with 50th and 5th Avenue. Does anybody know what is at 50th and 5th Avenue? Just Dr. Foster?
I think the University Club.
It's a little higher. 50th and 5th Avenue is Saks Fifth Avenue on one side of the street and Rockefeller Center on the other. And in the center of Rockefeller Center, there's a plaque that kind of looks like this plug. There's a brass, round, just metal plate. It actually is no longer there. It used to be there when I went to Columbia. And it said on it, property of the trustees of Columbia University. Because Columbia still owned Saks Fifth Avenue and Rockefeller Center and all that property. But Columbia wasn't there. By the way, they sold it to the Japanese about 15 years ago. But Columbia wasn't even there, and that's all that remained of what for generations students thought of as Columbia University. The buildings were gone. Not a single bush or blade of grass that had stood on the campus that generations of students loved still stood. Because Columbia had moved uptown to the Bloomingdale Insane Asylum of all places and established itself on that property, which was the last open parcel of land in Manhattan. I always loved it, by the way, that the French department never tore down its building, which was the main building of the asylum. Somehow, in my mind, the French department being there made sense. Sorry. Because it said that some things do abide. And at that time, it seemed to me that that little piece of the old property abided on Columbia's very intentionally engaged and designed campus, where everything was a perfect square, except for this old building from the insane asylum that the French department occupied. And the French department was filled with these crazy, wonderful people, and it had turrets and Victorian winding halls, and it was just different. But it wasn't Columbia any more than those new buildings were Columbia, any more than the site at 50th Street and 5th Avenue was Columbia, any more than the original site of Columbia University in a place called Wall Street was Columbia. Columbia only matters because of what Columbia did for its students. The opportunities it afforded them, the vision it gave them, the fact that it became a school which in fact was at the forefront of educating people from diverse races and backgrounds. The first in the Ivy League to do it. Well, why are we important? Because we're on this campus, because we've renovated this chapel, because we have this beautiful space, because we have that organ. We're about to have our first baptism here in a couple of weeks, which is wonderful. First baptism in our chapel. We don't even have a baptismal font. But the son of an alum, who's the son of an alum, actually is generations of family that's going to be baptized here in our chapel. What if this chapel, by the time that person is in his 80s, is no longer the chapel? What if this campus moves again? I went back and saw the sale at Kenwood, all the things being dismantled from our old chapel. The altars, screens, everything being sold off. We have a couple of the pews right out here that parents bought and have donated. Is that what abides in a school, in an institution that matters? What matters is that you can come back to a school that has made you different. What matters in a school like this is if we've managed to give you an opportunity to transform yourself. As the campuses of Columbia went from one place to another, what mattered was the abiding spirit that that university had. That people, that it was a public university in private trust. That people from all branches of life, all races, and all religions could go to this Ivy League school, not just elite white Anglo-Saxon Protestants as were admitted to Harvard. That set it apart. The decisions that made this school great name out in front of the school. But what, when all of that is swept away, really matters about this place? Because it will be swept away, probably. Just like the first St. Agnes campus was swept away, and the second, and the third, and then St. Agnes became known Stewart. What matters? What matters is that a group of people sat down in 1870 and said, it's not right not to admit Jews. It's not right. We don't care if every other school in upstate New York won't do it. We will. What mattered at Kenwood was somebody sat down with somebody else and said, we will have a school for people who can't afford tuition. We will educate them here on this property. We will not abandon the poor of all. What mattered is that somebody said to somebody else, we're not going to be the school that closes the door on African Americans. In fact, we're going to be the one that opens the door for them. They will be with us and one with us. That somebody said there will be a Buddhist temple, it's not just okay, we're better for it. That somebody said, all of you, whether you can afford to be here or not, can be enriched by this place, transformed by it, and you can help to transform us even if you can't afford the whole tuition. Even if you're not all the same race or religion or background, that's what's made this place great. It's not incidental. It's not just that we grouped you all together and said, okay, great, now get educated. It's not just some social experiment. It's what we're about. It's what will abide. You may not know it, but when you leave here, not every place will be equally willing to embrace you, and not every place will demand that you embrace people so different from yourself. This is a world filled with prejudice and hate. This is a world filled with nastiness. This is a world where people will try to defeat you before they will try to uphold you. Here, your teachers have looked at you and said, I will uphold you. I will value you, not despite your differences, but because of them. We know you're extraordinary, and you make the world richer. Both individually, you are the legacy of John Stewart, and collectively, you are the estate. You are the great building we have built. Not this chapel, not this campus, and not whatever campus comes after this. I don't know, I hope not for another 100 years. We can be proud of this. But what we need to dedicate ourselves to is the fundamental principle that everything that we stand for will be here, and the kind of education that your teachers have dedicated themselves to will continue to be given to students for generation after generation after generation. You may not know it. You may not have been even to another school. Lifers like Dan and Forrest and Christine and Andrew haven't known other schools. I have. There is no place as dedicated to what counts for making you a better human being than this place of any school I've ever known. And I've known a lot of them. Certainly not my college, certainly not my secondary school, certainly not places I've taught, whether it's Andover or Noble and Reno or a ski racing school on a mountain. This is the only place that I've known where there's something bigger about what you're a part of that's actually making you a better individual while simultaneously demanding of you that you dedicate yourself to its legacy. This is about something important enough that you can win. I swear to you, when you're 40, you'll look back and you'll say, excuse me, child, for using this word, darn. But I went to a really extraordinary school. And I had a chance that most people never have to really understand how much better I am for opening my heart to somebody and a whole group of somebodies who are not exactly like me. And to learn and laugh and love and live with them. As Bishop Doane said, it does not take a hero to make a saint. Each of you touches sainthood every day by virtue of living here successfully. Each of you are my heroes for helping to sustain this great school of which we are lucky.